In the last few years, the number of credible UFO sightings caught on camera has increased. What you're about to see is not CGI, and it's not a weather balloon. These are 45 of the most convincing UFO sightings ever captured. This clip from Mexico stopped people cold. A saucer-shaped craft hovers silently above the ground, and then a beam of light drops directly beneath it. What follows is something that looks unmistakably like a person being pulled upward, straight up into the craft. The footage sparked massive debate online, with thousands insisting this was exactly what it looked like, an alien abduction caught on a regular phone camera. No explanation has been offered for what the beam of light actually was. Volcano encounter. A UFO was filmed near an active volcano, and what happens next is the part nobody can agree on. The object appears to fire a directed beam of energy directly into the eruption. One theory is that the craft was harvesting energy. Lava generates enormous amounts of thermal and kinetic energy, and some researchers believe advanced craft could theoretically draw power from volcanic activity. Whether that's what happened here, no one can say for certain, but the timing of that beam with the eruption is very difficult to explain away. Nellis hover. Near Nellis Air Force Base in southern Nevada, a man filmed something for 2 straight minutes. Not a quick flash, not a blur. 2 full minutes of an unidentified object hovering, drifting, and moving in ways that no known aircraft can replicate. The footage was later enhanced using upscaling tools, and what emerged in the clearer image raised more questions than it answered. The shape doesn't match any publicly known military or commercial aircraft. The base's location only adds weight to the speculation. Silent rocket. It hovered for several minutes, completely silent. Then it left. The rocket-like shape of this craft, filmed somewhere in the United States, is unusual among UAP sightings, which tend toward disc or orb shapes. The total absence of sound is what anchors this in the unexplained category. Any human rocket produces enormous noise. This produced none. Witnesses stood beneath it for the full duration, watching, waiting for a sound that never came.
Down at Maya. Shh.
Refinery watch. Now this one has to be one of the most convincing, because on March 22nd, 2026, a tic-tac-shaped UAP was filmed hovering directly over an oil refinery, motionless, watching. The tic-tac shape is the most famous UAP form in modern research history. It's what Navy pilots encountered in 2004 in the now declassified Nimitz footage. Seeing the same shape, unmistakably, over an industrial energy site raises an uncomfortable question. Are these craft interested in our energy infrastructure? And if so, why? Mass abduction. Multiple people, one craft, and then fewer people than there were before. This footage allegedly shows a group of civilians in the process of being taken. NASA officially acknowledged in 2023 that UAPs are a serious subject worthy of scientific study. For many who have watched this clip, it feels less like speculation and more like evidence of what some researchers have been warning about for years, that encounters aren't always brief sightings. Sometimes people don't come back. Invisible dropper.
So this is the same UFO that was on TikTok. It's dropping those same metal spheres.
A hiker in Washington state watched something that shouldn't exist. A transparent, cloaked object, barely visible beyond its outline, was hovering near a stand of fir trees. And then it dropped 2 metallic spheres from its underside before vanishing completely. The spheres landed in the forest. The witness recovered and photographed them. What those spheres were made of and why a cloaked craft was deploying them into a forest in Washington state has not been answered. This is one of the very few cases with physical evidence. Black Knight. This is alleged leaked NASA footage of one of the most controversial objects in UFO history, the Black Knight satellite. The theory has circulated for decades. An extraterrestrial spacecraft, possibly 13,000 years old, locked in a near-polar orbit around Earth. The silver, rotating object in this footage matches descriptions that have been reported by astronomers and intercepted signals as far back as the 1950s. NASA has never officially confirmed what the object in their footage actually is. New Jersey sighting.
Yo, look at that.
New Jersey has had more than its share of strange sky activity, but this footage, captured by multiple witnesses, is being called one of the most convincing encounters ever filmed in the state. The object moves with a kind of confidence, not erratic, not fast, controlled and deliberate. Witnesses who've reported sightings for years say the behavior pattern here matches what serious UAP researchers describe as a craft that knows it is being watched and doesn't particularly care. What do you think? Is this real or something else? Drop it in the comments.
I don't know, bro.
Shape-shifting sphere. 3 orbs were escorting it. That alone would be unusual, but the main object in this footage does something even stranger. It appears to change shape mid-flight, at one point closely mimicking the silhouette of a commercial passenger plane. The ability to mimic known aircraft shapes would be a significant tactical capability, whether this is a form of active camouflage or some kind of structural transformation. The footage has left analysts divided. The 3 escort orbs vanished before the main object did. Fiji chase. Over Fiji, a commercial pilot filmed something keeping pace with his aircraft, then moving ahead of it, then circling back. Commercial pilots are among the most reliable UAP witnesses because they have the training to identify aircraft and atmospheric phenomena, and they have nothing to gain from fabricating sightings. Quite the opposite. This pilot filmed continuously for the duration of the encounter. The object was not on any flight radar. Air traffic control had no record of it. It was simply there, and then it wasn't. Skinwalker Ranch. A rancher with property near the infamous Sherman Ranch in Utah's Uinta Basin captured something that researchers have called one of the most significant pieces of footage ever linked to Skinwalker Ranch activity. The craft hovers at a distance, then small white orbs begin emerging from it and returning to it, in and out, repeatedly. Skinwalker Ranch has been the site of documented paranormal activity for decades, including cattle mutilation, poltergeist events, and UAP encounters that have drawn both the U.S. military and private researchers. This footage now sits at the center of the debate about whether the ranch has an extraterrestrial connection. Portal departure. Filmed from someone's backyard, an ordinary night, and then a UFO, clearly visible against the sky, appears to open something and disappear through it. The debate over whether faster-than-light travel requires physical portals or wormholes has been ongoing in theoretical physics for years. What this footage appears to show is an object generating its own exit. Whether that's what actually happened, or whether there's a mundane explanation no one has found yet, remains genuinely open. Portal exit. Something came through on April 21st, 2026. Since the footage shows what appears to be a craft exiting a point of spatial distortion, an area where the sky itself looks wrong, like light bending around something that shouldn't be there. The object emerges from it and moves away. Portal travel has been a theoretical concept in physics for a long time. This clip, along with the backyard portal footage from earlier in this video, suggests that if it's theoretical to us, it may already be operational for someone else. Mosul Orb.
Смотри, какая птица.
This is military footage, released on the Weaponized podcast, captured by a U.S. military drone over Iraq. The object, a perfectly spherical, metallic orb. No wings, no rotors, no visible propulsion system of any kind, The Mosul orb is one of the most studied UAP videos in existence. The Department of Defense has acknowledged its authenticity. What the orb is, where it came from, and how it was flying, those questions remain officially unanswered. When the US military films something it cannot identify and cannot explain, that's not a rumor. That's a documented fact.
Смотри, какая птица. Смотри на камеру.
Downtown Los Angeles. Right over the streets of downtown Los Angeles, something massive was filmed cutting through the sky, and it wasn't subtle. Witnesses on the ground stopped and pointed their cameras, and as you can see, drivers slowed down. The object moved steadily before banking hard to the left and disappearing at a speed that no conventional drone could manage. What makes this one hard to dismiss is the sheer number of people who saw it simultaneously. This wasn't one person with a shaky phone. Multiple angles, multiple witnesses, one unidentified object. Close pass.
It's real. Oh man, it's real.
This one starts like many sightings, a distant speck in the sky that could be anything, but the cameraman holds his nerve and keeps filming. And then, the object gets closer, fast. In the final seconds, whatever this is, zooms directly past the camera at a speed that leaves almost no time to react. The footage is being called undeniable by many who've studied it frame by frame. At close range, it clearly is not a plane. Wasn't a drone either, and just for a few laughs, not a bird too. Nobody has put forward a convincing alternative, but can you?
Oh, look at that thing go! The glow is getting brighter. What the hell is that thing doing?
Trailing smoke. Something emerged from the clouds, leaving a white smoke trail behind it, the kind of trail you'd expect from an object that was damaged or losing altitude fast. Some believe this was a craft involved in a confrontation, either with another unknown object or with military forces. The trail is too thick and too controlled to be simple condensation. The location remains unknown, which only deepens the mystery of what was happening in that airspace. Ring over beach.
Oh my God, look up in the sky!
Filmed on a crowded beach in broad daylight, this footage shows something that defies easy explanation. A perfect ring-shaped object hanging in the daytime sky. No sound, no visible propulsion. Just a clean, circular form drifting with controlled stability. Dozens of beachgoers had their cameras out. The object stayed visible long enough for multiple angles to be captured. Ring-shaped UAPs have been reported in other parts of the world, but rarely this clearly documented with witnesses present.
Hey, look toward
Oh
that.
my God,
Look
that is
over.
strange.
Florida streak.
Insane.
Off the coast of Florida, witnesses described what they saw as the fastest thing they had ever seen, and the footage backs them up. A white streak moves across the water at a speed that, when analyzed frame by frame, far exceeds anything in the US military's publicly acknowledged arsenal. Witnesses on the shore stood in stunned silence after it passed. No sonic boom, no trail, just speed that shouldn't be possible.
Whoa, did you see that just shoot across?
Figures near craft. This one is blurry, and that might be why it's so unsettling. Near a spherical white craft, figures can be made out, at least two of them. Whether those figures are beings from the craft or humans in the process of being taken, no one has been able to determine. The account attached to the footage suggests an abduction event. Some researchers who study human-alien contact cases say the positioning and body language of the figures is consistent with documented abduction reports going back to the 1960s. Nevada cave launch. In the Nevada desert, something emerged from inside a cave, not hovering near it, not approaching from the sky. It came out of the ground, from inside a cave, and then launched into the air at a speed that left the camera barely able to track it. The Nevada desert sits close to some of the most secretive military land in the world. Whether this was something the government built, something that built itself a home underground, or something else entirely, no answer has been given. Frozen fighter jet. An American fighter jet, possibly Lockheed Martin F-35, one of the most advanced aircraft on the planet, was brought to a complete stop in mid-air. not by mechanical failure, by proximity to an unidentified object. The jet sits motionless while the UFO holds position nearby. Pilots have described similar encounters, including the famous 2004 Nimitz incident, where Navy pilots reported their cockpit systems behaving strangely near a tic-tac-shaped object. Whatever these craft are, they appear to have the ability to interfere with military technology in ways we cannot yet explain. Highway Observer. Drivers on a busy highway came to a stop when something appeared above them and just stayed there. It wasn't passing through. It wasn't in transit. It was observing. The object held its position above the highway for long enough that dozens of drivers stepped out of their cars. Then it moved. Slowly at first, then gone. The deliberate, unhurried nature of this sighting is what sets it apart from fast-moving craft. This one appeared to be watching. Mothership convoy.
Wow.
3 massive objects filmed over a highway, 2 circular, 1 diamond-shaped, moving together. The scale of what the camera captured here is difficult to process. These aren't small orbs. Witnesses on the highway described objects so large they seemed to block portions of the sky. The formation of 2, flanking 1 central object, has appeared in other documented sightings across different countries, which makes this something researchers have noted as a repeated behavioral pattern rather than a one-off event. German technology. Not every unidentified craft has to come from another world. This footage raises a different question entirely. What if some of what we're seeing is human-built, just far beyond what's been publicly disclosed? This craft, believed by some researchers to be connected to advanced German aerospace programs, moves in ways consistent with anti-gravity propulsion concepts that have circulated in classified research circles for decades. Found in an underground chamber, tested in secret. If true, it means governments have been sitting on technology that would change everything and choosing not to share it. Ground launch. It starts on the ground, just sitting there, and then it isn't. The launch is instantaneous. No build-up, no sound, no visible exhaust. It simply transitions from stationary to airborne at a speed the camera can barely follow. When the footage is zoomed in and enhanced, the shape becomes clearer, and it matches no aircraft in any publicly available military catalog. Whatever this was, it did not want to be there anymore. Aircraft evolved. The TR-3B has been the subject of classified speculation for decades, a triangle-shaped craft that first appeared in credible witness reports during the 1970s. What you're seeing in this footage, filmed in a mountainous region, is believed to be a newer generation of the same design. It launches vertically, remaining perfectly horizontal as it climbs, a flight characteristic that is physically impossible for fixed-wing aircraft. The original TR-3B was described by aerospace insiders as using magnetic field disruption for propulsion. The advanced version appears to do it faster and quieter. Color shifting lights. This incident happened on 13th of March, 2026. On a beach, lights appeared in the sky, and they kept changing. Red to green, green back to red, cycling in a pattern that witnesses compared to the way large vehicles sometimes park with indicator lights running. But whatever this was, it was not a truck. The deliberate patterning of the lights and the fact that they maintained a fixed position in the sky while doing it has led some researchers to suggest this was a form of signaling. To whom and what the message might have been is unknown. Secret base transport. A large U.S. Army convoy was filmed transporting something. Actually, several of these things, air quotations, silver, disc-shaped objects loaded onto military flatbeds and surrounded by a heavy armed escort. The convoy was moving in the direction of Area 51. This isn't the first time military vehicles have been photographed moving unusual cargo through that corridor. Whether these are recovered craft, experimental vehicles, or elaborate decoys designed to feed the speculation machine, the government has offered no explanation. They never do. Unknown technology. Some footage makes you ask what it is. This one makes you ask who built it, because whatever this is, it moves with engineered intention. The flight path isn't erratic. It isn't random. There is a logic to how it maneuvers that suggests something operating with purpose. Aerospace engineers who have reviewed similar footage have said privately that the energy efficiency implied by the movement pattern alone would represent a generational leap beyond current publicly known propulsion systems. Maryland flashes. Over Maryland, a group of objects made themselves very hard to ignore. Bright blue flashing lights, multiple craft, moving in a pattern that was clearly coordinated. Blue light UAPs have been documented in separate incidents across at least 6 U.S. states. The color and the pulsing pattern in this footage closely matches descriptions from other sightings that have never been publicly explained. Maryland residents filmed from several locations that night. This was not one person seeing something. This was a widespread event that generated almost no official response. Austin Mothership. Just some time ago, on the 23rd of April, 2026, in Austin, Texas, a massive craft was filmed suspended in the sky, with 2 smaller companion objects flanking it on either side. What happens next in the footage is what's generating the most discussion. The 2 smaller craft move toward the central object and appear to connect with it, docking or aligning. Then a bright flash, and the entire formation disappears. No gradual departure. One frame it's there, the next it isn't. Whatever this was over Austin, it didn't leave, it simply stopped being visible. Unexplained object.
What the f is this shit, bro?
Sometimes the most unsettling footage is the footage with the least context. No location, no witness name, no backstory. Just an object in the sky doing things that shouldn't be possible. This clip falls into that category. What makes it notable is the flight characteristics, the stops, the turns, the speed changes, all of which defy the physics of any known human aircraft. Without a location or date, it's impossible to cross-reference against radar data, and perhaps that's the point.
Look at this. The cops are down here saying we have to go back to our houses because they don't want us to film it.
Carolina Mothership.
Weird. What is this in Little River, South Carolina? They're moving.
North Carolina residents looked up one night and watched an entire mothership materialize in the sky above them. A blue beam of light moved along the craft's exterior, running from the bottom upward, in a repeating cycle that some researchers describe as consistent with a charging or powering sequence. The craft had been partially concealed in cloud cover, but the light gave it away. Whatever it was doing in that cloud, this is one of the clearest large craft sightings ever filmed over American soil.
I mean, I thought they might have been like towers or something, but do you see how they're moving in formation?
Fleet encounter. A pilot filmed what can only be described as a fleet, not one craft, not 3. An entire coordinated formation of unidentified objects moving through airspace that no human authority had cleared. The scale of what's in this footage is what separates it from typical sightings. Individual UAPs can be dismissed as anomalies. A formation this size suggests organization, infrastructure, command. The word that researchers keep using when they see this clip is the same word that makes governments uncomfortable: invasion readiness. Mountain laser. Above a mountain range, a saucer-shaped disc appeared and held position. Then, it fired. A directed energy beam came from the craft toward the mountain below. The same behavior filmed near the volcano earlier in this video. The pattern of UAPs using what appear to be laser or energy systems near geological features is showing up in multiple unconnected sightings. Whether they are extracting something from the Earth or doing something to it, researchers cannot yet determine. Storm Cross. During a storm, something appeared in the clouds, and its shape was unmistakable. A cross. Not a natural cloud formation, a structured, symmetrical cross shape that held its form against the moving storm around it. Cross-shaped UAPs are among the rarer reported forms. They've appeared in medieval paintings depicting unexplained sky phenomena and in modern sightings going back to at least the 1950s. Whether the storm provided cover for the craft, or whether whatever this was had some other reason for being there during the weather event, isn't known. Del Rio crash. An ex-United States Air Force pilot says he chased a UFO across the state of Texas. He watched it take damage, he watched it go down, and he watched it crash on the Texas-Mexico border near Del Rio. This account comes from a trained military pilot, someone whose professional life depends on accurate observation and honest reporting. He has gone on record. He has described the object, the engagement, and the crash site. What was recovered at that site, if anything, has never been publicly disclosed. But the pilot's testimony has never been officially disputed either. Cascade lights. A hiker in Washington state, near the Cascade Mountain Range, captured something that has since been analyzed by multiple researchers. The craft's underside featured a red light that was rotating, not flashing, not static, but physically spinning. Some propulsion theorists describe this as consistent with a magnetic repulsion system that requires rotation to generate lift. Whether that's what was powering this craft or not, the footage is among the clearest daytime mountain sightings on record. The hiker held the shot steady for long enough to capture shape, color, motion, and behavior. Everything researchers need, and it still produces no clean answer. Sao Paulo zigzag. The city of Sao Paulo was awake when it happened. Something appeared in the sky that moved in ways no aircraft should be able to move, stopping dead in midair, accelerating to impossible speeds, zigzagging through the city's airspace. It changed color, it made no sound, and it appeared to be observing the city from above before it disappeared at a speed the camera couldn't follow. Brazil has one of the most active, unidentified air phenomena research communities in the world, and Sao Paulo has been a hotspot for sightings for decades. This footage is already being compared to the most significant Brazilian UAP events on record. Merging discs. Two separate disc-shaped objects were filmed, flying in close formation. Then, something happened that the footage captures clearly. The two craft merged into a single shape. Moments after the merger, a laser-like beam fired from the combined object toward a structure on the ground. What the target was, and what the beam was intended to do, has never been determined. This is one of the clips that researchers consistently flag as among the most operationally unusual ever filmed. This footage was leaked by an unknown whistleblower. No name, no affiliation, no explanation of how they obtained it. What it appears to show is a crash site with multiple unidentified craft visible at the location. Not one, multiple. The implications of that, if this footage is real, are enormous. A single crash could be an accident. Multiple craft at a single site suggests something else happened there. A battle, a meeting, a retrieval operation, something. We don't know if this is real, we don't know who shot it or when, but we're showing it to you because that's the honest thing to do. Put it in front of people and let them decide. What do you think happened at that site? Tell us in the comments. And if you've seen something in the sky that you can't explain, share it. Because the more people talk, the harder this becomes to ignore. The uploader of this video said he was driving to work when these three objects appeared above his car. They looked like small discs with strange, sharp structures on top. The way they stayed in perfect sync with each other and even matched his car's speed made him believe they weren't man-made. He couldn't see any wings or propellers, which is why he thought they could be alien probes instead. There's no other information about this video to confirm or deny that. Ring of light. A man driving to Amarillo, Texas couldn't believe his eyes when a bright ring of light appeared in the sky. The sky had been mostly clear, so its sudden appearance was extremely unusual. He stopped his car and stepped out to record a better view. Even then, he couldn't make sense of it. He wasn't sure if it was some kind of strange spacecraft or an unknown phenomenon. The ring showed no signs of movement, so he eventually drove away. Pyramid UFO.
this filmmaker, he just released this video that was taken by the U.S. Navy. He says that this is the best UFO video that has ever been released to the public, but there are a lot more questions than there are answers.
Have you seen this Navy-verified footage released in July 2019? It showed a pyramid-shaped UFO over the USS Russell, capable of moving through air and water at incredible speeds. And guess what? 2 years later, someone in San Diego, California reported seeing the same UFO hovering above them, spinning slowly. Around the same time, another person in Los Angeles saw a similar flying craft in the same week. This one had a flashing light in the middle, which grew brighter until both the light and the UFO vanished. People believe these sightings were somehow connected. Flashing unidentified craft. On the 7th of July, 2017, an unidentified craft appeared above Conroe, Texas at 9 p.m. Its edges glowed with bright lights that kept changing colors. The most terrifying part was the beam of light it emitted downward. It flashed repeatedly, as if scanning the area below. Either it was searching for people or sending a signal no one was able to decode. The craft vanished after about 20 minutes, but the video didn't capture that because the cameraman's phone had mysteriously turned off. Mysterious portal. For many years, experts tried to dismiss this video from 2013 as fake, but viewers don't believe them. See it for yourself. It shows a huge, dark flying saucer above a house in Turin, Italy, and nothing will prepare you for what happened next. Suddenly, a glowing portal opened up in front of it, and the flying saucer went right through it. The portal closed just as mysteriously after that, and it explains how UFOs have been entering our orbit without being detected by our radar. Mysterious telecommunication. Last year in June, these mysterious objects appeared over the Rostelekom's building in Novosibirsk, Russia, which belongs to a major telecommunications provider. The three orbs hovered above the base station in perfect formation. It's really strange for something of that shape to be able to hover without any support. The uploader mentioned that it stayed above the station for 2 hours. It seemed like these mysterious orbs were there for communication. What do you think? 31 Atlas.
What the f*** is that?
In 2025, a woman recorded a strange glow that lit up the night sky in Phoenix, Arizona. And it didn't end there. The light was moving fast, and soon after, a massive UFO appeared which was emitting that glow. It quickly traveled across the sky and went out of sight. This happened around the same time when Atlas 31 passed close to our solar system. Experts said it was just a comet, but many people believed it was a scouting probe sent by another civilization because of how fast it was moving and how precise its path looked. So could it be that?
Oh my god. Oh my god, no way.
Failed abduction. The following video is from 2015, and it shows the moment a terrifying UFO appeared in this neighborhood. It happened in Denver, Colorado. It was a dark, metallic craft with bright blue lights hovering right above one house. Then it began emitting striped beams of light downwards. It looked like it was scanning the area for someone to abduct. When it failed to find someone, the UFO flew away into the sky at incredible speed before vanishing. Shocking return. In 2005, a UFO appeared over a small town near Saransk, Russia. It was dark, flat, and moving at a very high speed. And guess what? Years later, in 2013, a resident recorded what looked like the same UFO again in Saransk. This time, it was hovering directly above the Moldovan Republican Fine Arts Museum. Unfortunately, most of the original footage was lost. So this is all that remains. But people believe this UFO had returned for a specific mission. Minnesota sightings.
All right, in Prior Lake tonight,
Last year in October, people from Minnesota began sharing chilling images and videos of this. They all reported seeing lights arranged in a perfect circle in the night sky. Although the sightings happened on different days, they occurred at exactly 9 p.m. and lasted around 30 minutes each time. Most people believed these were the underside lights of an alien spacecraft preparing to descend above them, since no known natural phenomenon looks like that. But it's surprising how, despite the mass sightings, news outlets stayed completely silent.
But to actually see them like that is pretty cool.
Interdimension communication. Here's one of the most terrifying things spotted in the sky. A man in Calama, Chile saw this very bizarre metallic object above a remote area near his neighborhood. It was shooting an extremely bright beam of light directly into what looked like a portal. It almost seemed like it was communicating with something on the other side. Maybe it was sending information about us. However, the video doesn't reveal anything else. Terrifying abduction. The following footage was retrieved from an old archive in Hamburg, Germany. A supermassive disc-shaped UFO appeared over a factory. It had a giant white light underneath it, which was used for the terrifying moment you're about to see next. Did you see that long, dark shape rising toward that white light before vanishing? That was an actual person getting pulled up. Although most of the information related to this footage was deleted, I did find out that there had been several missing persons cases reported around that time. Stormy object. In June 2024, people in Uttarakhand, India were shocked when these dark clouds suddenly rolled in. They thought a storm had unexpectedly arrived even though it was summertime, but the truth was much darker. The clouds revealed the shadow of a giant, circular object with two intersecting shapes in the middle. It looked like a massive aircraft was descending upon their city and was responsible for creating those storm-like clouds. However, since the video cut off there and no reports followed, we don't know how it ended. Strange craft.
I'm recording it.
Now, this video has its critics, so I need your opinion on this one. The person who uploaded it claimed they saw this black triangular spacecraft. It was flying so low that they could clearly see its structure and the lights underneath it. The lights kept blinking rapidly. The footage shows the craft slowly passing right over the camera. But since the video doesn't reveal the time or location, many viewers remain unsure about its authenticity. So what do you think? Alien invasion? What would you do if this massive spaceship appeared over your city? A man in Tulsa, Oklahoma had been taking out the trash when this supermassive triangular spacecraft appeared right below the clouds. It was huge enough to cover the entire city, and he thought it was a full-fledged invasion. There were bright lights underneath it. The video cut off there, but the uploader mentioned it had simply flown over them. However, there was a short power outage in the city right after. Public sighting. Now, this sighting took everyone by surprise. People in Seoul, South Korea were gathered outside for a public event when a massive UFO appeared in the sky. It was dark and saucer-shaped, just like the classic depiction. The shocked crowd began recording because it's not. Every day you see something like that. The UFO flew right above them and then disappeared, without trying to abduct anyone or interact in any way, which makes no sense why it was there at all. Craft malfunction. You need to see this old footage from 2011. In Locarno, Switzerland, a resident recorded this craft in the sky. It was metallic and circular like a UFO, and if you look closely, you'll see smoke coming out of it. The craft must be experiencing a mechanical failure and was about to crash, which explained the smoke. However, later no one reported hearing a crash or finding any debris or impact site, which means it may have taken control and flown away. Belgium UFO wave. Did you know that from 1989 to 990, there were many reports of UFO sightings in Belgium? People described a craft with 3 bright lights arranged in a triangle. Looks like the wave has returned, because last year, people across Belgium began seeing the same lights in the sky. In one video, the lights stayed in a fixed triangular formation, whereas in another, the lights appeared to expand at a shocking speed. So if you're from Belgium too, let me know if you saw these as well. V-shaped craft. On the 1st of January, 2024, a man recorded this unbelievable V-shaped aircraft with bright lights below. It was flying silently in broad daylight. After he shared the video online, some viewers said it looked like the same V-shaped craft seen during the Phoenix sighting on March 13, 1997, which was also reported to be completely silent. Others thought it resembled the TR-6 Telos, which is believed to be a mysterious spacecraft which uses magnetic field disruption for propulsion. UFO crash. In 2017, when a man in Tucson, Arizona was returning from work late one night, he saw something unbelievable fly above him. Judging by the flat shape and lights on its side, he knew it was a UFO. It seemed like the UFO was losing control because of how unpredictably it was flying. You won't believe what happened next. The next morning, he saw the same UFO crashed in his neighborhood. However, he didn't mention if he had heard it crash too, or what the authorities had done with it next. Colorful flying object. Here's one of the strangest flying objects that someone has spotted. A man named Ryan Mitchell from Lake Havasu City, Arizona, recorded this bizarre multicolored object while boating. It was flat, and the colors on it kept changing like digital lights. At first, he thought it must be some kind of odd-looking drone, but he was so wrong. After a few seconds, the flying object mysteriously blinked out of sight. Since drones can't just disappear, he realized it wasn't from this planet. Bizarre UFO. This shocking object just appeared over Roswell, New Mexico last month. It happened at around 9:30 a.m. Its surface was smooth with sunlight shining off it. It had such a bizarre shape that no man-made object designed to fly looks like that. It only stayed for 10 minutes. But what made its appearance stranger was that it showed up over a place long tied to UFO history. Back in 1947, Roswell became famous after a mysterious object crashed there. Do you think this sighting was connected to that? Spying orbs. Well, that's not something you see every day. While a woman was at a park in Sacramento, California, she saw a metallic disc appear in the sky. But wait, that's not even the most shocking part. There were many white orbs coming out of it. After releasing those orbs above the clouds, the disc vanished. The woman believed she had just captured an alien mothership, and those mysterious orbs were sent to spy on us. Spy plane. Someone in Las Vegas, Nevada, unexpectedly saw the most mysterious craft flying silently. It was flat, with a dark, triangular body, and had glowing red circles on its underside. Its appearance looked similar to the TR-3A, which is rumored to be a top-secret spy aircraft. It is believed to use advanced stealth technology to avoid detection and mark targets using directed infrared beams. The red circles underneath could be the points from where those beams are emitted. Since the person thought they had accidentally captured something not meant to be seen, they shared it from an anonymous source to avoid consequences. Bizarre hovering craft. When a man in Lower Saxony, Germany, we saw this hovering above his neighborhood, he zoomed in to reveal the most bizarre object. It was metallic and had an irregular shape. It stayed there for 2 hours, and the man was worried that this was sent by another country to spy on them. But viewers are saying that man-made drones don't really look like that, which makes it even more mysterious. Disappearing object.
woman says she was enjoying the pool Wednesday night when she saw a strangely shaped and unfamiliar object falling from the sky just over there.
At around 9 p.m. in June 2024, a woman in Pembroke, Massachusetts noticed a bright object falling fast. It had blinking lights and what looked like flames around it. She quickly recorded it dropping straight down. It looked like multiple glowing parts moving together. Expecting some kind of impact, she rushed to see where it would land. But to her shock, it had disappeared. There was no debris, which is usually found at an impact site if a meteor or space junk falls, which is why she reported it as an extraterrestrial sighting.
Then I look up here to the sky, I see something falling down, so I pulled out my phone and I zoomed in, and it was right about there. I see something falling down from the sky. It had blinking lights and looked like it was on fire or something, and it was just coming down really fast. I had no idea what it could have been.
Mysterious flashing object. On the 28th of February, 2024, a watchman in Bernal, Argentina was on rounds near an old facility. That's when something began flashing in the night sky. It was neither behaving like a drone nor a star, because its light was flashing in sudden, extremely bright bursts. It seemed to be coming from a mysterious object that he couldn't explain, and this kept happening for nearly 20 minutes. Later, even his seniors were confused after seeing this video. Strange traveling object. This might be one of the strangest things seen in the sky. In Guangzhou, China, a resident noticed a rectangular object moving at an incredibly high speed. It didn't look like space debris, especially because falling debris usually leaves a trail of fire and smoke, and this object had strange lights on it instead. What's even more surprising is that another person nearly 2 miles away in Foshan reported seeing this object the next morning, as if it was traveling from city to city. So, what exactly was it then? Stargazing surprise. One night in June 2016, while trying to record the night sky, a man in Mexico noticed a very bright spot high above him. He wasn't sure what it was at first, so he zoomed in with his camera to get a better look. To his shock, the screen showed what looked like an actual UFO. It was saucer-shaped, but it wasn't really traveling across the sky. Instead, it remained completely still. He wondered if that UFO was hovering in our orbit to gather information on us. Flashing craft. I couldn't really find the exact source of this video, but you still need to see it. It shows something emitting bright flashes of light in the night sky. After looking more closely, we can see it was caused by a strange spacecraft, which was so dark that it was nearly invisible. Only the lights revealed it. It was spinning slowly as it went higher, then suddenly emitted a beam bright enough to light up the night. What if it had been trying to communicate with us through those lights? Cloud or UFO. In November 2023, in Osorno, Chile, a man was at a soccer field when a strange form in the sky caught his attention. It had a flat shape, just like a huge flying saucer. It seemed to be much lower to the ground than an actual cloud. When he recorded and uploaded the video, viewers were convinced it was an actual disguised UFO, but one person said it was just a lenticular cloud. So, who one do you agree with? Interdimension communication. Telescope revelation.
Pelo amor de Deus, eu acabei de olhar aqui, no telescópio.
The year 2020 was already full of unexpected turns of events, but wait till you see this one. A TikToker named Lillian Melchert from Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, was trying out her new telescope during a night of stargazing, but instead of stars or planets, the telescope revealed what looked like a UFO. See it for yourself. The object appeared disc-shaped, with bright red lights glowing along its sides. It wasn't moving at all, just hovering there the entire time she kept her telescope pointed at it.
Olha isso! Olha isso!
Light formation.
There's a UFO hovering above Toronto.
When a woman in Toronto, Canada, was outside at night, she saw these bizarre lights in the foggy sky. There were 3 lights arranged in a perfect triangle, and they weren't moving at all, as if parts of a single object. After she uploaded this video, someone else from the same city shared this shocking clip, from a different night. It showed the same triangular formation, but this time there were more lights behind it, as if what these lights belonged to was much bigger. Both sightings lasted the entire night, yet no one has an explanation.
¿Qué conche tu madre es eso, gente?
Sky battle lights? While a man in Ajman, UAE, was out for his late-night job, he ended up seeing strange white lights in the sky. It happened on the 10th of September, 2013. The lights seemed to be moving downward in a straight line, and their movement was too controlled to be space debris. It reminded him of the Nuremberg celestial event of 1561 in Germany, where people reported strange orbs and what they believed was a sky battle between unidentified flying objects. McDonald's lights? I bet you won't be able to explain this one. When a man was walking toward a McDonald's at night in Mesa, Arizona, he was not expecting to see these lights in the sky. There were 3 lights right above the McDonald's, and they kept spinning in perfect synchronization, until eventually moving completely out of sight. The sight looked so absurd that after he shared the video, viewers believed this was proof of an advanced species. UFO or drone. The following video was recorded in Milan, Italy in 2007. It shows a huge metallic aircraft in the air. It had a very unusual structure and was moving in controlled ways before disappearing into the distance. Even though authorities tried to downplay this video by saying it was just a drone prototype being tested, it is now going viral again this year as a UFO sighting, because drones do not look like that. Satellites or mysterious lights. The person who saw these lights in Boise, Idaho, thought they were Starlink satellites, but soon he realized these were different. There were only 6 bright lights in a straight line, and they stayed in place the entire time he was there. Unlike Starlink, which usually appears as a long chain of many lights and moves quickly across the sky, he couldn't tell if this was something extraterrestrial or just another type of satellite he didn't know about. Out of control. On the 12th of May, 2015, this CCTV footage from Tampa, Florida, captured a strange aircraft zooming toward a water tank with great force. It easily pierced through its solid structure. What's even more shocking is that earlier that day, someone had recorded this in a nearby area. It was the same craft, which had lost control and crashed into the water. It kept moving under the surface, before rising again and shooting off into the sky. After connecting both videos, it seems like the cameras had captured an actual UFO going haywire. Mysterious orbs. A resident in Curitiba, Brazil, couldn't believe his eyes when he saw this in the sky. At first, it seemed like a bright patch in the sky, but then he noticed the orbs moving around it. The orbs seemed to be interacting with the glowing patch, which is why he realized this wasn't just some phenomenon. That was either extraterrestrial orbs coming out of a portal, or probes being deployed from some strange-looking mothership. I want you to comment your thoughts too. Unknown storm lights. A Reddit user from Doha, Qatar, shared this video 5 years ago showing dark storm clouds. Inside the clouds, there were 3 strange lights. They were positioned in a triangle shape. They captured them for only a few seconds before lights suddenly disappeared. The user said it gave them a bad feeling and asked viewers what it could be, who believe it could have been a UFO trying to stay hidden in the end eye. Clouds. Wobbling object. Have you seen this viral footage of a flying object spotted in Monterrey, Mexico? It didn't look like a normal object being carried by wind, and there was no strong wind that day either. What made it even stranger was how still it was. When he zoomed in, the object appeared to wobble slightly, almost like it was adjusting itself to stay in place. It stayed there for hours before drifting away. Only super advanced alien technology could make that possible, right? Strange sky sighting. 5 years ago, an astrophile had the perfect spot to record a storm over Miami, Florida, but the view turned mysterious very quickly. Just as the thunder flashed, it revealed a strange, dark shape in the sky. It was too round and dark, and seemed to be protruding from the clouds. He believed it could be an alien spacecraft trying to stay hidden within the storm, but the moment was too brief and unclear to confirm anything. black hovering objects. Now this one will leave you scratching your head, just like it did for people in Da Nang, Vietnam. These two strange objects appeared near the power lines. They were completely black and had a very unusual shape, just hovering there without any movement. The sight was so confusing that even the traffic police below didn't know how to react. If only the video had been a little longer, we might have known what happened next. Black Manta. On the 12th of August, 2021, a family in Mesa, Arizona was enjoying the weather late at night, but the peaceful moment quickly took a shocking turn. They saw this triangular flying craft passing over them. It was dark black with several lights underneath that blinked rapidly. Strangely, the craft was almost completely silent, even though it didn't seem very high. The shape reminded them of the rumored spy aircraft known as the Black Manta, which uses reverse-engineered alien technology to fly. But a secret plane wouldn't just appear over a well-populated city, would it?
It's still up there. That's pretty far up there.
On the 12th of January this year, residents of Tigre, Argentina, were terrified after this huge flying craft appeared over their neighborhood. It was a metallic, disc-shaped UFO hovering above the houses. A large, glowing opening was visible underneath it. The uploader had mentioned that after seeing it, people were so scared that no one dared step outside. They thought it was about to emit a beam from that opening for abduction, but to their relief, it simply moved over the houses and then went out of sight. Others also reported seeing the same UFO in nearby areas, and everyone was relieved that no one had gone missing. Fort George is an active military installation, which makes this footage all the more extraordinary. A camera picked up what appeared to be a tall, thin, gray figure walking casually alongside a U.S. Army soldier on the base grounds, completely unbothered and moving like it belonged there. The soldier next to it didn't react, didn't flinch, and kept walking like this was completely routine. That detail alone was what got people talking the most. Either nobody on that base found this unusual, or they had been told not to react. What was walking alongside that soldier at Fort George was not human.
No puede ser.
Chase or escort? Two American fighter jets were filmed in close pursuit of a dark disc-shaped craft that was moving through the sky with complete indifference to the aircraft on its tail. The UFO was solid, round, and showed no exhaust, no wings, and no visible propulsion, as the jets banked hard trying to keep up with it. Bob Lazar spent decades telling anyone who would listen that he reverse-engineered exactly this kind of craft inside Area 51, and lost everything professionally for saying so publicly. A man doesn't sacrifice his career and reputation for something that isn't true. Area 51 interrogation. Back in 1996, a man who only identified himself as Victor leaked footage he claimed to have pulled directly out of Area 51. The clip showed what appeared to be a live gray alien being interrogated inside a facility, small, framed with a large rounded head, enormous dark eyes, and a tiny mouth. According to Victor, this being had survived after its craft was shot down in 1989. Rocket Pictures released it through a documentary in May 1997. Researcher Michael Heisman backed the timeline up, linking it to a South African Air Force report about a downed craft in the Kalahari Desert that same year, with one survivor allegedly transferred to Area 51. Multiple crashes. On 31st December last year, reports came in of multiple crafts coming down across Arizona, and this footage showed what responders found when they arrived on scene. A large black disc-shaped craft crashed in an open field, its hull cracked and damaged on one side where the impact had clearly been severe. Personnel in full white hazmat suits moved around it with equipment, while onlookers behind yellow tape filmed from a distance. The craft was enormous, smooth, and unmistakably disc-shaped, with no visible engine, wings, or markings consistent with any known aircraft. Multiple crashes on the same day in the same state was not a coincidence anyone could easily explain away. Jets intercept aliens. 3 disc-shaped craft were filmed, flying in loose formation over the central Nevada desert at sunset, each one clearly defined against the golden sky above the desert horizon. What made this clip particularly significant was what happened next. U.S. Air Force F-22 Raptors were scrambled to intercept them. The fact that the military responded at all was an admission that whatever those 3 objects were, they were considered a serious enough presence in restricted airspace to send in the most advanced fighter jets in the American arsenal. Rendlesham Forest. October 4th, 2003. Someone was out in Rendlesham Forest in Suffolk, England, when their camera captured something sitting in a clearing between the trees. A classic disc-shaped craft was resting on the ground, and standing on either side of it were 2 tall, gray figures. The timestamp was burned right into the footage, the kind that was fixed to the camera hardware and couldn't be edited or faked after the fact. Rendlesham Forest already had one of the most documented UFO incidents in British history back in 1980. Captured in India. Somewhere in rural India, late at night, a group of people gathered around something lying in the dry grass and straw that nobody could explain. The footage showed a small, pale, frail creature flat on the ground, completely still, with a large round head and wide dark eyes that caught every light pointed at it. Its body was almost skeletal, in a way that matched no animal found in that region. The people standing around it looked genuinely unsettled, phones out, nobody moving too close. The video spread worldwide fast, and the comments section filled up with people who had no explanation either. Some things are hard to dismiss. Alien trap. Somewhere in the American Southwest, a person filming between a gap in some large rocks caught something that made them step back fast. Pressed into the dark space between the stones was a small, dark figure, with one enormous black eye visible and a pale, elongated hand reaching out through the gap, fingers stretched forward. It was impossible to tell from the footage whether it was stuck and trying to get out, or whether it was reaching toward whoever was holding the camera. That uncertainty was the most unsettling part. Nobody stuck around long enough to find out which one it was, and honestly, given what that hand looked like, that was probably the right call. Feeding the alien.
Eat this whole thing.
This footage came out of what looked like a dark jungle location, and the man in it appeared to be military or government. He held out a large, raw piece of meat toward a gray alien standing right in front of him, and the alien took it with both hands and began eating. The being was pale, green-gray, large-eyed, frail, bodied, but clearly present and interactive. The casual nature of the exchange was what made this so unsettling. Alien escorted. Out in an open desert landscape, fully armed military personnel were photographed escorting something that was clearly not one of their own. Walking between the soldiers was a tall, silver, gray alien, smooth-skinned, large, dark eyes, long-limbed and slender, walking upright without any restraints visible. The soldiers around it were in full combat gear, but their body language suggested this was a transfer operation rather than a capture. The being was enormous compared to the men flanking it. The photo was linked to a transfer toward Area 51 facilities, which, if true, would mean whatever agreements exist between governments and extraterrestrials go a lot deeper than anyone has officially admitted. Military escort leaked.
Is that thing?
Night vision footage leaked from inside what appeared to be an active military base showed 4 uniformed soldiers walking in formation through a facility corridor lined with equipment. In the middle of the group, flanked on all sides, was a figure that was noticeably different, shorter than the soldiers, pale, and moving with a stiff, fragile gait that looked nothing like a human walking under their own confidence. It was being escorted somewhere, either coming from an interrogation or heading toward one. The soldiers moved with discipline and purpose, keeping tight around it. Whoever leaked this footage did so quietly. Most compelling video. Leaked from inside what was alleged to be a classified government base, this clip is still considered one of the most compelling pieces of alien footage ever recorded. The camera captured a side profile of a tall gray being in close detail, and the images were deeply unsettling. The skull was enormous and elongated, the skin a mottled bluish gray with visible texture running across the neck and shoulders like muscle or tissue beneath the surface. The neck itself was unnaturally long and thin, supporting that oversized head. It had biological detail that no costume or prop from that era could have convincingly replicated. People have been trying to debunk this one for years. All have failed. Meteorite retrieval. Someone filming from a distance captured a group of slender blue-gray figures gathered around a large, dark rock wedged into the entrance of a cave. There were at least 5 of them, all roughly the same height, working together with their hands pressed against the surface of the object like they were examining it or trying to move it. The rock had the heavy, scorched look of something that had fallen from the sky. The footage raised an uncomfortable question. If they were collecting it, where were they taking it? And how many times had this already happened without anyone watching? Alien paratroopers. The source of this one was never tracked down, which is very suspicious. Night vision footage showed a glowing disc-shaped craft hovering above an open field, while multiple figures descended from it toward the ground below. Several humanoid shapes were already visible on the hillside, spread out like they had just landed moments before. The whole thing looked exactly like a military paratrooper drop, except nothing about the craft above them was military. Real, fake, or something in between. This clip earned its reputation as one of the strangest pieces of footage to surface recently. Leaked footage. This footage reportedly surfaced on the dark web and claimed to be a leaked file from inside a government facility. The black and white clip showed an extreme close-up of a face that was not human. The skull was oversized and rounded, the eye socket deep, hollow, and far larger than anything on a human face, and the skin had an uneven, almost textured quality to it. The mouth appeared to be open like it was either speaking. Whether this alien was being interviewed or experimented on inside a classified facility, nobody who leaked it ever came forward to confirm the source. Orbs Patrol Base. A group of urban explorers visiting an abandoned military base in Oklahoma sent in this clip with a straightforward account of what they witnessed. 3 bright, glowing orbs moved slowly and deliberately around the perimeter of the base, and the word they used to describe it was patrolling, which is exactly what it looked like. No date or time was attached to the footage, just the location and the account. The orbs maintained consistent spacing between each other as they moved, which ruled out random atmospheric lights pretty quickly. What do you think? Comment below. Alien on Moon. Recently released footage from the Apollo 11 mission showed something standing on the surface of the moon that nobody in the original mission briefings ever talked about publicly. A tall, thin, dark figure stood completely upright on the lunar surface, humanoid in shape but far too elongated to be an astronaut in a suit. Both Buzz Aldrin, the second man to walk on the moon, and Dr. Edgar Mitchell, the 6th, separately came forward in later years, confirming that alien presence was encountered during the Apollo missions. Project Blue Book.
How about we concentrate on your time?
On June 9th, 1964, a classified session under Project Blue Book was allegedly filmed, and that footage has now surfaced uncut. The black and white clip showed a gray alien seated at a table in what looked like an interrogation room. its large domed skull, hollow eyes, and frail frame clearly visible as it sat hunched forward. Personnel were present across from it, speaking to it and observing closely. Someone off camera could be heard saying, "Tell us the truth."
Tell us the truth.
This footage predates AI-generated video by decades, which makes dismissing it a lot harder than people would like. Alien caught.
What's the first thing that goes through your mind?
I'm losing my mind. You know, it didn't look like anything I've ever seen before.
Jessica Ortiz from Compton, California, woke up one morning and reached for her phone like any normal day. When she pulled up her Ring camera footage, what she saw stopped her cold. The recording showed a figure with a large, oblong-shaped head and a distinct body lingering near her property in the dark. She had no idea what had been standing outside her home while she slept. The video spread fast and racked up millions of views almost overnight. Crime scene investigator Scott Roeder even sat down with Inside Edition to weigh in on what it could have been.
The video is authentic. It's real. It's not a hoax. To me, it looks like some kind of non-human creature.
Nobody could agree on an answer, and honestly, some of the theories were almost scarier than the footage itself.
The video's been viewed millions of times, and there are a number of theories about what was actually captured on camera.
Shocking alien footage. A leaked clip was uploaded on Reddit not too long ago, showing something almost impossible to process. Inside a fenced area, surrounded by armed personnel, a strange figure moves across the ground, dribbling a basketball. The being doesn't look human. Its movements are controlled, almost practiced, as it interacts with someone off camera. No context was provided with the footage, no explanation. Just a silent scene that raises questions the viewer is left to answer. Is it being protected or held? Captured alien. A TikTok account called Adel Ulfer, whose bio listed him as working in aerospace and defense, posted 2 clips in the summer of 2022 that people are still talking about. The first was dated June 23rd, and the second 1st July. Both showed someone interacting with a metallic container fitted with a small viewing window, appearing to pass something through it like a feeding routine. For just a split second in the footage, a face appeared behind the glass. Large, dark eyes, pale skin, a rounded head, and a humanoid shape that matched every description ever given of a gray alien. The account gave no explanation and no follow-up. Close alien encounter.
Empezamos a escuchar ruidos.
In Tamaulipas, Mexico, a local man named Juanito Juan decided to enter an abandoned location after the paranormal investigator who had gone in before him simply vanished without a trace. Inside, he found a bright light source with no obvious origin and no one visibly holding it. He called out, but got nothing back. As he pushed further in and got closer to the light, a figure emerged from the darkness behind it. Large rounded head, dark sunken eyes, slight frame, it looked exactly like the gray alien descriptions that have been coming out of Mexico for decades. He got it on camera before getting out of there. 2 grays walking. In this old footage, 2 figures moved slowly through what appeared to be a dimly lit corridor or open space, and neither of them was human. Both had the same distinct profile. Large, rounded heads sitting on slender necks, narrow sloping shoulders, and slight frames that moved with a slow, deliberate pace. They walked side by side without any urgency, almost like they were completely comfortable wherever they were. The caption in the footage referenced someone named Tatalian, suggesting this may have been part of a documented encounter or internal record of some kind. Stalking alien. A home security camera in Roswell, New Mexico picked up something outside a ground floor window late at night that the homeowner wasn't expecting to find on their footage the next morning. A pale, rounded face pressed close to the glass, staring directly into the house. The eyes were oversized and dark, the head noticeably too large for the narrow neck beneath it, and the facial features were flat and minimal in a way that didn't match any human face. It just stood there at the window, completely still, looking in. Forest alien encounter. While checking an abandoned area, military officers spotted a strange figure with dark almond-shaped eyes and a gray body nearby there. When their flashlight landed on it, the alien quickly lifted its odd arms to cover its face, which made people think it already understood exactly what a camera was and what it meant to be watched. And if that's true, it had learned that somewhere. Alien in Brazil. The Varginha incident is one of the most documented alien cases in South American history, and this declassified footage brings it back into focus. In 1996, in the city of Varginha, Brazil, the Brazilian army allegedly captured a living extraterrestrial being after multiple civilian witnesses reported seeing a strange creature in the streets. The footage showed a dark figure in a wooded area, illuminated briefly by light, with a body shape that matched exactly what the original witnesses described: large head, reddish eyes, and a slightly oily-looking frame. The military denied everything officially, but this footage suggests there was a lot more to cover up than they admitted. Whistleblower.
Now notice also, this is the body of an alien, and where we have 6 ribs that are connected together, they have 3.
A person wearing a disguise to protect their identity went live and claimed they had worked inside Area 51. Then, this person held up photographs that were taken from within the base. The first image showed what appeared to be a small, pale body lying on a surface, legs and feet visible, clearly not human in proportion. The second photo was the one that stopped people cold. A face stared back at the camera, large, elongated skull, deep-set dark eyes with a skeletal quality to the facial structure that no human being carries. This person risked everything going public.
And they still look like this.
Alien Mona Lisa. The Apollo 20 mission was never supposed to exist publicly. According to those who came forward, it was a classified joint American and Soviet recovery operation with one goal: retrieve alien technology from the moon. What they found inside a massive, crashed alien spacecraft was not just technology. Lying inside the wreckage was a female humanoid figure they named Mona Lisa. The footage showed her face up close, dark hair, human-like features, but with subtle differences around the brow and skin texture that set her apart. This mission was buried immediately and denied ever happening. Kitchen visitor.
Oh my God, what the is that?
On March 5th, 2005 and 3:10 in the morning, a camera captured something moving inside the kitchen. Entry number 69 in what appeared to be an ongoing videotape to capture an alien after being woken up by bright flashes of light inside the kitchen as an alien. The close-up frame showed a dark, rounded face peering from behind a door inside the wall, large, dark eyes, no visible nose, and a wide, flat head. Whatever visited that house that night, it left Grandpa on the floor.
Oh my God, what's it doing?
Blue Book interview.
You say you're from the future and an evolutionary descendant of humans. You also say you're a different species. So, which one is it? Are you a descendant of humans or not?
This was the second part of the June 9th, 1964, classified interview conducted at Dulce Base, the underground facility in New Mexico that has been at the center of alien collaboration theories for decades. The footage showed the gray being, its large domed skull catching the light as it sat upright with both arms resting outward. A subtitle appeared on screen translating its response as, "For a short while, sir," which meant communication was happening in both directions. The fact that this interview had a part 2 suggested this was not a one-time encounter, but an ongoing, documented exchange between humans and aliens.
How do you speak English?
Tall, pale alien. Filmed near the perimeter of Area 51 in the Nevada desert, this clip showed a thin gray figure sprinting across open ground at a speed that looked completely unnatural for something that size. The body was slight and elongated, moving low and fast across the desert floor with an odd gait that didn't match any animal native to that region. The surrounding landscape was flat and exposed, which made the figure easy to track across the frame before it disappeared. Whether this was an escapee, a test subject, or something that simply wandered too close to the fence line, the Nevada desert has been hiding things for a very long time. Hangar footage. Leaked KGB footage from an unknown military base showed something that dwarfed everything around it, inside a large industrial hangar. A massive dark disc-shaped craft sat at the center of the space, its curved hull almost touching the ceiling above it. Personnel in white suits worked around its base, while suited figures in darker clothing observed from a distance. The scale of the craft, relative to the people standing next to it, was staggering. This was old footage, grainy, and clearly not staged for public consumption, which is exactly what made it so compelling. Massive orb.
Oh, you see how many there are?
The YouTube channel UFO Footage 2020 uploaded this clip just 2 weeks ago with a simple description: UFOs over Area 51 last week. Through night vision, a large craft became visible, hovering low over the mountain ridge just outside the base perimeter. 4 bright lights running along its underside in a straight horizontal line, evenly spaced and glowing intensely green through the lens. No specific date was attached, and the clip was short. But what it captured in those few seconds above the most secretive military installation in America was enough to make every UFO community crazy. Forest visitor. Somewhere along the Appalachian Mountains, a homeowner heard strange noises coming from the woods behind his house late at night and went out to investigate with a camera. What appeared at the tree line was not an animal. A gray alien stood just beyond the darkness, pale blue-gray skin, a large, smooth, rounded head, and those wide, dark, almond-shaped eyes staring directly into the camera without flinching. The second frame showed its body, tall and luminous, moving through the trees with a faint glow surrounding its body. Whatever had been making those noises in the woods that night, it had been standing much closer to that house than the owner ever realized. Sakhalin sighting. A Russian military helicopter was flying over the mountains of Sakhalin Island in 2023 when the crew caught something on camera that nobody had a good explanation for. Floating above the ridgeline was a dark, elongated disc-shaped object, completely still against the gray sky. It wasn't a bird, it wasn't another aircraft, and it made no sound. The military rarely shares footage like this, which made people wonder what else they had been sitting on. What were they not telling us? The missing nurse.
She looked like death warmed over. She said, "You won't believe what happened." She said, "I've never seen anything so this." I said, "Well, look, you're a nurse." And I said, "Anytime you're in this business, you're going to see a lot of things." I said, "You may as well get used to it." She said, "No, this is what it is."
Glenn Dennis was a mortician working near Roswell, New Mexico in 1947 when he got pulled into something he never expected. Years later, in a recorded interview on November 19th, in the late 90s, he described what a nurse on the base had confided in him. She told him she had seen 3 small bodies inside the facility. They were thin, fragile, with oversized heads and features that looked nothing like any human she had ever seen. She was shaking just trying to get the words out. Shortly after that conversation, she was transferred without warning. Then a letter arrived suggesting something had happened to her, and after that, nobody could confirm where she had gone.
She gave me a little diagram that she had drawn some figures of some arms and face and so on. She told me that this is what, was in those, that it was a crash. It wasn't an airplane, but they didn't know what it was at that time.
These were bodies.
Yeah, but she said we have 3 bodies. There was 3 bodies. She said 2 of them were very mutilated. One looked like it might have walked out, or that it, might have lived a little while. And she explained they were like 3.5 feet to 4 feet tall. The two of the bodies were you couldn't identify much because they were practically destroyed, and it looked like maybe that they might have been a predatory animal or something might have been doing some damage on the bodies too.
No scientific answer. In September 2017, a blueprint surfaced that stopped researchers in their tracks. Whoever drew it had recorded a disc-shaped aircraft in precise detail, 20 meters wide, 4 meters tall, with 4 thrusters and step-by-step movement processes mapped out to exact measurements. Then the actual video footage emerged, and the craft on screen matched the drawing almost perfectly. In the footage, the disc approached what looked like a shimmering barrier of light, cut straight through it, and vanished. A flash, a pulse of electromagnetic waves, and then nothing. Nobody draws something that specific from imagination, and no known aircraft behaves that way. Science had no clean answer for it. Miami Mall aliens.
It involves talk of alien sightings at Bayside Marketplace. There was a massive police response in downtown Miami.
New Year's Day 2 years ago at Miami's Bayside Marketplace, things got very strange, very fast. Over 60 police cars descended on the area, and witnesses on the ground started describing something that didn't make sense. A 10-foot-tall gray figure, moving unnaturally among the squad cars, slow and deliberate, in a way that made people stop and stare. Videos hit social media within minutes and spread to millions of viewers before the night was even over. People were convinced they had just watched a real alien walking around a Florida shopping mall. Authorities gave a vague response and moved on quickly, which somehow made the whole thing feel even more suspicious. Hangar footage leaked. At Wright-Patterson Air Force Base in Dayton, Ohio, old grainy footage surfaced showing something that was never meant to be seen publicly. Inside what looked like a large open hangar, a massive disc-shaped craft sat suspended just above the ground, dwarfing every person standing beneath it. The people in the frame looked tiny next to it, scattered around the base of the object like they were studying it or waiting for orders. The craft had a smooth, wide rim and a distinct raised center, classic in shape but enormous in scale. Nobody officially acknowledged the footage existed. It just quietly appeared, and once people saw it, it was impossible to unsee. Buried in Peru. In a remote, isolated stretch of Peruvian desert, archaeologists were digging through a site where an entire community had lived almost 600 years ago, before every single one of them mysteriously passed away. What they pulled from the ground stopped the excavation cold. Buried beneath layers of packed dirt and dry roots was a metallic, dome-shaped object covered in intricate engravings and fitted with what looked like mechanical components, including a striking turquoise element still intact after centuries underground. It matched no known civilization, no known tool, and no known technology from that era. Nobody could explain why it was there, or whether whatever brought it had anything to do with why those people were gone. Aliens in Germany. In the middle of World War II, while the world was focused on the front lines, leaked black and white footage from Germany in 1944 showed something nobody had context for. 2 large disc-shaped craft were sitting on the ground, surrounded by figures moving around them, appearing to work on or examine the objects up close. The discs were wide, smooth, and identical in shape, sitting low to the ground with a faint haze around them. Germany was already rumored to have been experimenting with unconventional aircraft during the war, but nothing in any official record looked like this. Trail, alien captured. A trail camera set up in someone's backyard picked up something in the middle of the night that the homeowner was not prepared to see. In the grainy night vision footage, a pale, thin figure with a large, rounded head was crouched low to the ground between the trees, digging through the dirt and leaves with focused, deliberate movements. It stayed there for a while, working at the same spot like it was searching for something specific. Then it either found what it came for or gave up, because it slowly straightened up and walked off into the dark without any urgency. Shocking invasion. During a live news report on a bridge in Mauá, Sao Paulo in 2006, something appeared in the sky behind the reporter that nobody in the studio seemed to catch at the moment. 3 disc-shaped crafts moved steadily across the bright blue sky above the city's rooftops and broadcast towers, clearly visible and flying in a loose formation. The footage was broadcast live to thousands of viewers, and the response was immediate. The fact that it happened mid-broadcast, completely unplanned and in broad daylight, made it one of the harder ones to brush aside. Now it's time for today's open discussion. In the summer of 1947, outside Roswell, New Mexico, something came down in the desert, and the military was on the scene before almost anyone else knew it happened. Footage from the crash site showed armed soldiers standing guard around a tilted disc-shaped craft that had clearly come down hard. On the ground nearby, a long, pale figure was stretched out flat in the dirt, while other soldiers crouched over it, wearing gloves, examining it up close. The body was thin, gray-green, with elongated limbs and a large head. Armed guards kept a wide perimeter around the whole scene. The military called it a weather balloon. But you don't send armed soldiers with rifles to recover a weather balloon, and you certainly don't classify the files for decades after. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to like and subscribe. See you soon.